What did you say?
Para sikret.
What?
Para sikret.
We're mother sick. We're mother sick. Greetings, everyone. This is another episode of We're Mother Sick, coming live from the Breeze, Chosen Few Studios. We got so much in store. You know, bear with us. Life was happening, as y'all already know. If y'all coming back to this page, I'm already a married man. That's one of my rings. Because, you know, I gotta be like Jonas Gamora. Yeah, that's an inside joke. But no, yeah, I recently got married, but, you know, had to go through the whole process of doing all of that. And now we're getting back into somewhat of, well, me personally, getting back into somewhat normalcy, back from the vacations and the hype or whatever, and I was trying to build routine. But today's topic is something that I have had on my list to speak about for such a long time, because it applies whether you getting married, about to get a divorce, about to have children, about to go through grief, whatever the case may be, any trials of life. Let's talk about the nervous breakdown. Now, when we think about nervous breakdown, it's oftentimes when you see people just basically lose it. You can't even really describe a nervous breakdown. It's just something that is a triggering event that disables you. It cuts off sanity. It's like you're constantly walking on this line between sanity and insanity. And through the triggering event, you just cross over that line to insanity. You know, the panic attacks, you have heart palpitations. All the grief that you have had, you just break down in tears and you're inconsolable. And, you know, recently we've had a lot of tragic events here in the Bahamas, in which would bring people to having a nervous breakdown. But I know in the recent years, we've been using this verbiage and vocabulary of, or even this term called resetting your nervous system or having an overworked nervous system. I started to realize, and you've heard me speak a bunch of times about being burnt out. Part of being burnt out is having your nervous system being in a disarray. And why I said it is that through the course of being burnt out for many years because of the profession that I have, you know, taken upon myself, you start to begin to realize, okay, even when you take breaks, the break don't really feel a break because you have, the first couple of days, you have to sort of break the routine of you always on the go. And then by the time you break that and come to sort of land the plane, if you will, it's right back into the fire. And for the longest time, I've been wondering, like, bro, who came up with, if you work 52 weeks a year, you only have 2 weeks of vacation? That ain't enough time to actually woosah, calm yourself, reset. You need way longer than that. You probably need, I remember, and that's only one of the things I liked about my marketing agency days. Like, we had 3 weeks of vacation. We had holiday break, but sometimes we for 2 weeks. And then we wasn't getting paid overtime, so we get days back. So if I work a Saturday and I didn't work 5 days this week, guess what's gonna happen? This Saturday I get back. So it adds to my vacation time. So you almost off for 6 weeks. Now at my current place of establishment, current place of employment, I've been having like 6 to 8 weeks for the last 3-4 years, but then it has begun to take its toll. Because if anybody can relate, you be in moments where if you're like me, you're a very high functioning individual. And you come to moments to where you feel that if you ever been in this situation, you have a car and you try to turn the ignition and you just say, and it's like the car wouldn't turn over. The engine pistons wouldn't ignite to start the car so you can move the car. And it's just stalling out. And that's how you would mentally feel. Like you just pushing and pushing and pushing. You just can't push no more. Even if you trying your hardest to get the juices going, you just can't push. You can't create. You don't have the motivation to do anything that you usually do. You don't have the passion that you once had, and you're searching for that passion. But you're trying to figure out, why am I not feeling this way? I'm trying to do my whole, like, whatever holistic ritual that you may have, whether it be whatever routine to get you in the mood. And nothing is working. You just like, hey, I just need to put this down and try to come back to it. See, take a trip, go do something different, trying to get better inspiration. And sometimes that works, but sometimes it doesn't. So the nervous breakdown is like understanding the nervous system. We weren't made to be on high alert 24/7. There's a fine balance of life that we always need to remember, and we often forget. You working 80 hours a week, 7 days a week, you're gonna end up killing yourself. And you're gonna, not only that, you're not only gonna be depressed working all those hours trying to get up. When you sit down and have a moment to realize like how much you missed trying to do this, it's gonna hurt you again. The nervous breakdown. I found myself, I remember I took a couple days early this year. Was it this year? Yeah, it was this year. And the person in my department asked how it was my vacation, and I was like, it was just me resetting my nervous system. Because when you work in a high pressure environment, any time away is great. You don't even need to travel. You just need to be away from this. And once I have that time and it's like a reset or whatever, it's like, and sometimes I don't even be long enough because you constantly, even like my last trip recently is like, I just thinking about all the stuff I gotta do when I get back. This gotta get answered, this gotta be done, this bill gotta get paid. Life continues to happen. Your car going on, or you gotta pay your rent or your mortgage. It's some calamity that happens, or something happens to where you have to call a maintenance crew. Someone gets sick. Like it's like you always wishing that, hey, maybe for one moment that life could just pause for a second so I could catch my breath. Like it's just so much coming one after the next, and it's like, am I gonna go through this? Am I going to survive? And the answer is most of the times yes. But you feel like you're in a rat race and you're trying to figure out, don't mind me, I just playing with this thing. Okay, it came apart. Let me put it back. Let me put this on the floor. Getting distracted. But it's gonna come a time where you're gonna have to make a decision on where you're gonna have to cut back on some things. You're gonna have some tough conversations. You're gonna have to do less in order to reset so you could gain more. If that makes sense. Because you're just attacking everything constantly, day by day, without no break. You're gonna break down. You're gonna have a nervous breakdown. And I remember the last nervous breakdown I had actually culminated with a series of events that happened that made me realize what I needed to do for the future. But still, you having questions about yourself, and then a series of events happen in which it confirms that what you've been feeling for a long time. With me, I was getting into a very comfortable place in my life. And certain things happened and it made me realize that I have to make a change. I have to change the way how I think when it comes to reigning over my own domain and seeing the adjustments of life has for me at that particular point. Actually, that and I remember I was supposed to go work an event that night, and I was like, "Bro, I ain't going." Like my mind is shut. I mean, under stress and duress for 4 to 5 months straight because it was whether we working outside things, and I saw relationships and partnerships had me in all kind of sorts, and I was running this gauntlet, and like my mind broke. It was like the end of December. My mind broke, and you probably had moments where your mind broke too, because you enough was enough. But I just want to tell you that it's okay if that happens. No, it's not okay with the parameters and circumstances that leads you to that. But to have that woosah moment, to have that come to Jesus moment, to have that breakdown to where you in tears and it's a final realization of things is okay to happen. It's okay to express yourself in that moment. It's okay to release. Because you've been trying to find all kind of different ways to release those emotions. And you just have them stored up in your mind, body, and soul. Overthinking situations, and you want better and have hope for better, but you can't get better. You're not getting the credit that you deserve for whatever the case may be. You feel like you're being unseen and being tortured. All these different things. I had to take a sip of water. But all these different things, and it's like you have to now look at yourself and say, hey, okay, what I need to change, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, to alleviate yourself. Finding common spaces, building a routine in which it keeps you sort of even ground. It's all also important. Do the things you love. Like even this year, I had to take, and this is a topic for another day, I almost had to take a gap year for 6 months, I couldn't be Jesse Sama. The one thing that kept me sort of even these last like 4 or 5 years, developing this caricature for my joy. And because life happened and you had to make the valid sacrifices, I couldn't be Jesse Sama for 6 months. Now, that has been daunting, and I've made it, and I even made a whole series called When Life Happens because I felt like people need to hear it, because people have this creative break or this creative hiatus where they have to step away because they're not in the best mental space or whatever the case may be. They can't create how they want to. But I think during that bit of a creative hiatus, it made me realize how to sometimes life will happen and does happen, and how you need to navigate around it. You don't have to always shut everything down and suffer. You could just cut back on certain areas, reconstruct, focus your mind on the goal, and everything will be cool. But you're going to be saying when mother's sick, when things don't go your way, you're trying to do what you always been doing and it's not working in your best benefit. So, with the nervous breakdown, it's always finding that fine balance of things. You have to constantly weigh options. You have to have hard boundaries for yourself and everything else. Sometimes you have to say yes, and other times you have to say no. And, be easy on yourself and take it one day at a time. Because if you're thinking about what the result of 20 years from now will be today, you're going to always be in panic mode. Your anxiety will always be high. And it's like you can't live life like that. You have to enjoy the moment. And you have to also know when it's important to you to take breaks. There's going to be a season for harvest and a season for farming. You just got to play the seasons correctly. So when it's the season for farming, you had to pre-prepare during the season for harvest, the stock up, go through farming, and then when you reach the other side, then you start planting again. But, the race ain't for the swift, it's for those who endure, and you say some things you just have to endure. But most of the times, you have to find a space for yourself. Don't let these people gas you up about working 24/7, 365, bro. Go take your break. So take those moments. Sometimes you just need to get up from your desk, go walk outside and bask in the sun. Stretch. Wake up early in the morning, go work out. If you can, go after work and work out. And then when you get off from work out, find some creative activity or find a good group of people to be around to encourage you. Because I think a lot of times why we're having the issues that we're having as human beings now because we have lost community. And we're trying to find community oftentimes in one person. And so that might be, a lot of times that be maybe a spouse or a partner. And you're trying to find 10 to 100 people in this one person, and that fractures that particular relationship. So now you're back to being alone. Whereas you need more community to help you just gain different perspectives, for you to love on a group of people and for the group of people to love on you. And that solves a lot of different things. So, go out and touch grass. Calm the nerves. Everything in the fire, everything in an emergency. It'll get figured out when it need to get figured out. But you have to make that mental distinction in your mind to say to yourself, hey, I got to know what is priority and what isn't. I got to know what my parameters and my boundaries is and how to safeguard them. I got to safeguard my mind and my emotions as well. So I got to make the proper decisions and ensure that these things are happening. And when you do all that, everything can be cool. And then when you realize you've been practicing these good habits, you'll say, well, Mudda sick. Thank you for listening to another episode of Mudda Sick, bro. It's a summertime right now. Go take that vacation, bro. And if you can't take it between now and the end of September or beginning of September, go take it in September. Go take it in October, November. If your company doesn't block out December dates, then whatever. And if they talk about if you ain't got no rollover, well, take it in January. Take all of January off. But you need to reset and understand the nervous breakdown. It's not just your nervous system that's inside your body. It's how your mind works. It's proper mental health. Proper mental health, just how it's proper physical health is proper mental health, not just only going to the therapist, but doing things that for you and what you need to do. And understanding when your body's in crisis and where you just need to reset everything. I hope these words encourage you today. And if you want to sponsor this show or any other show, please, come in our DMs, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Snapchat, well, my personal profile on Snapchat, TikTok, X, Instagram, and whatever, WhatsApp as well. Or, you can email us at theoriginalpeoplenetwork@gmail.com. Yeah, we still waiting for these endorsements. But by George, one day, I can come in there and you'll see all kind of different logos on there. Because, yeah, we're going on about next year is going to be 8 years since we've been podcasting. And one way or another, we're going to get it. But thank you all for watching again. Leave comments if you in the comment section if you relate to this quick talk. And we'll see you next time on Mudda Sick. Peace.